Want to know what your dog is thinking?
Have a challenging dog behavior you need help with?
The Dish on Dogs is your source for all your canine questions.
Improve your relationship with your dog and deepen your understanding of your furry friend. Right here on the Dish on Dogs. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould, affectionately known as the mayor of Hounds Town USA, home to the happiest dogs on earth. For those of you who don't know, Hounds Town USA is a fully interactive pet care business that take care of dogs, daycare, boarding, grooming. Since our inception, we've taken care of over 2 million dogs. And we've taken our show on the road. The Dish on Dogs is about dogs, so we're always talking about dogs in some form or fashion. The last couple of shows, we kind of gravitated towards the dog business. So last week we had an amazing franchise consultant, Mitch from Performax, and his job is to go out and coach franchisees, because franchising, for those of you who don't know, it's a very unique business model. It's a partnership, so it's like running a small business with the help of a corporate team. So our corporate team is obviously our Houndstown team. The Dish on Dog is on the road. So we are in beautiful Sanford, Florida, which for those of you who don't know is about 30 miles north of, or 30 minutes north of Orlando, Central Florida. It's an amazing little location. It's got right near the Sanford airport. And joining me today is our newest franchisees, not that they're the newest, our newest opening of our 13th location in Sanford, Florida. And this is really exciting for us. This is when everything comes together. And as I said earlier, last week we had Mitch from Performax. He's a consultant. There's so many moving parts within franchising. So today we have the pleasure of having Shaun and Paige Allen, the newest members of our family, that is going to talk to us about what this crazy journey was like. And, you know, a lot of times people don't understand things. Almost everybody wants to start their own business. That's their dream, quit their corporate jobs, quit what they're doing, and opening up a small business. I can assure you it's not easy. So to share kind of the journey is, of course, Shaun and Paige Allen is joining us. So welcome to the Dish on Dogs, guys. This is exciting for us to have you. And they are truly, we're going to talk about the ups and downs and the journey of franchising. So let's talk about where this began. You guys at some point woke up, or maybe talked about it for a long time, and wanted to do something different. So what was that for you, Paige, and what was that for you, Shaun?
Well, I think about 5 years, maybe 6 years ago, Paige and I started investigating franchises and in this area, in this industry. And we had some calls with a handful of them and never really felt that it was right for us. And then, of course, we tried to figure it out on our own, right? So we spent some time researching and trying to figure out if we could pull this off on our own. And then one day on the internet, Hounds Town popped up in front of us. And we reached out and started researching and got our blood flowing again, and decided, we probably can't figure this out on our own. And the resources that you guys offered got us going in the right direction.
Was it specifically pet care, or you were looking just for any business
No,
opportunity?
it was pet care.
And just a little brief background. You're working in the auto industry.
Correct.
Paige works as a school administrator in school administration. So you had jobs, obviously, careers, and you were looking specifically. Why, though? Because it always interests me. A lot of entrepreneurs are just looking for businesses in general, business opportunities, what's ever trending at the time. They want to, whether it's yogurt stores or whatever is the hottest thing. So what drew you? I think I know the answer, but tell me what drew you to the pet care industry specifically, Paige. What was that about?
I think everyone wants to wake up and want to go to work, enjoy what they're doing. And, I love the people that I worked with, but not necessarily what I was doing. So the idea of working with dogs, I frankly know, as I said, I knew the answer because everybody would love to come to work with. They're jealous, actually, of people that can bring their work to dog and actually interact with dogs. And that is a big draw.
But what makes it a little different, this is an emotional business. So, I mean, I guess you could argue almost any business emotional. The auto sales business is somewhat emotional, but you're not taking care of living creatures. So that adds a whole other level of, I guess, responsibility or emotion. So you started 5 years ago. You're thinking about pet care. You're Googling, and then you came across Hounds Town, and we do something called a Discovery Day, where you look at the business, what it's like, the business model, the support, and then you decide to go forward with this. And before you sign what we call an agreement, you come to a Discovery Day. A Discovery Day is kind of where you come and you see the actual operations. We get to meet you, you get to meet us, you get a feel for things. That was, according to my notes, back in March of last year. So it's a little over a year ago. So you came to Discovery Day, and that's really kind of your first commitment to doing something. It's not a legal binding thing, but you said, let's go see. There was 5 or 6 opportunities. You got down to Hounds Town. What was the Discovery Day like for you when you came?
It was nervous. It was almost like a meet the parents type deal.
Right. And it's funny because it's exciting to me because we're meeting people for the first time. So Discovery Day is like, so before we do anything, there's a lot of transparency in franchising. So there's all kinds of what we call an FDD, a financial disclosure document. So for those of you listening, franchising is a business. It's a business partnership. So we don't sell franchises, we award them. So just like Shaun and Paige came to see if they liked our fit, we're kind of looking to see, are these people going to gel? We're going to be partners for the next 10 years. So if you think about that, that's a pretty big thing. We're not selling something and we never see you again. It's not like selling your house or selling your car. We're developing a relationship, and we need to have what I call a cultural fit. And what does that mean? It means that we get each other. You kind of understand our business model, for example, is having fun. We want to have fun primarily. Of course, there's ups and downs, emotional moments, but fun is and we don't like to BS people. We're very, keep things simple, very straightforward. So the Discovery Day, it was fun. So you came and you get bombarded with information. I think I laugh a lot because people that come to New York, our corporate location, they come from different parts of the state. And if they've never been to Long Island, they're expecting, the Hamptons, beaches, or the Empire State Building. And our corporate location is next to the Long Island Railroad Station by the expressway. And it's it's not what a lot of people envision. Most people start locking their doors, or they turn around and say, is this really what they're expecting, some kind of corporate office? So we had our Discovery Day. And what did you take away from that? You guys went home, you went to the hotel, and you're...
Well, I think, first of all, when we went up there, we probably had thousands of questions in our head, and just, this is the first time of us really running our own business, right? So there's a million questions. So what really stood out for us is when we got there, you and Jackie made it so simplistic, like you said earlier. I mean, that was the key word that we walked away with, was you guys...
Simple. Or the concept.
It's simple. I mean, obviously it's not for everyone, but the way that you laid it out was very simple, and we just felt there was no doubt in our mind after. And
after meeting you and Jackie, it just seemed like it seemed right.
Seems like a right fit. And it's a gut feeling you have when you meet anybody. You meet people, you just sense. Back then we could actually shake hands. We're in the middle of COVID, so we're like, God forbid, shake hands or touch anybody. But that's the way I assess people or feel people's personalities, just by looking, sitting down, asking questions, and it's a free flow. And I think that's what we took away from you guys. Was just easy. It was relaxed. It wasn't over calculated. You weren't taking notes and dividing and doing mathematical equations. Frankly, that worries me a little bit, because we're just, as I said, the core of our business is simplicity. And as you know now, where we are, we started our training. Simplicity goes with the door. Everything we do is about keeping it as simple as we can. So you got a little bit of confidence. You left and you said, this is the right thing to do. Then the next part of franchising, you got to sign a 10-year agreement. A 10-year agreement. And we have to do the same thing. So now we do that. So that was back in When the hell did you do that? September, March. Okay, so you came to Discovery Day in February, March. So I think my point, this is a journey. This isn't a sprint. I laugh a lot of times. Had you came to Discovery Day in February and said, I want to make sure we're open for spring break, and you would have to understand that that's not going to happen. So you had to walk away from Discovery Day understanding this is a marathon, it's not a sprint, and there are a lot of obstacles in the way. And one of the biggest obstacles is site selection and build out. So let's talk a little about that. We signed our agreement, we agreed we're going to be in business together, partnership for the next 10 years. And then you go back to beautiful Orlando, and then the site selection begins.
Yeah, so I think that we kind of knew where we wanted our first location to be, and we had our zip codes, and then you look, and then you don't find anything. You don't find
zoning
anything.
and the building, and there's just so much. So that obviously took months.
Then
to even just go visit the locations.
we ended up out of our zip
Territory
code,
area,
but
right?
I think this is the perfect first location.
Oh, I agree. But was that, because I know the franchisees that are listening now, depending where they are in the spectrum, if they just signed their agreement last week, their expectations might be to open in a month or two. Some of our franchisees are still looking because they were hit with so many different complications. Just the normal site selection, is hard. As you said, you look at 6 sites, nothing seems to gel properly. Then we got hit with some of it was storms in Nashville. They had a tornado, then they had a COVID-19, then there's social unrest. So there's one thing after another. Now we're back in Florida, and maybe so it's such a I don't know if it's a difficult time, but it's certainly a unique time. So all of these things thrown at you. When did you start experiencing? There's a moment when people look at each other, and maybe several moments, and they say to themselves, you question your decision. You're laying out a lot of money, I always wonder if people realize the amount of work that goes into it and the amount of time and all the little nuances of it. And I don't think you could have predicted that the way.
We had to be patient because I'm a business person. I like to get things going and things like that. And Paige obviously has to feel comfortable with the location and the building and all of that. So, we had our areas that we were definitely really wanting, but could not find the real estate.
And you all told us, you were like, you might have to go out of your territory. And I was like, no, we'll find it in our territory. Yeah. But
so then with a good real estate agent, then you started, what are our needs? And we found obviously this building, and honestly, it wasn't what the area that we were looking for, like she said. But when we came and saw the building, all of that made sense. And then we just started doing some more research with competitors and things like that in this area. And I might have nudged her a couple times, and she warmed up to it. And I can tell you, we're blown away with the community and what we're seeing with marketing so far. So knowing what we know now, this was a home run for us.
Right. So that's interesting, and it's obviously not uncommon because you guys are in business together, so you're a partnership. You're a business partnership. So everybody has an opinion about things, and it's like anything else. It's like shopping for a house, shopping for anything, shopping for your children's education. You have discussions about it. And so this, of course, is probably a big one in most people's lives. I mean, most people are investing a lot of money into their future, and it is an investment in their future, and they're trying to calculate their return on their investment. So when you found the site, I liked it pretty much right off the bat. I wasn't sure about the demographics, so everybody sees things from a different view. The building, I thought it was beautiful. It was a big empty space, but so then there we go. So then that part of the journey's over, site selection, and that probably took close to not quite a year. I think you signed your lease in September. And you actually was pretty quick moving, so it may not have felt that way, but so in September you sign your lease. So now the excitement of finding the excitement starts all over again. You have the building, So you're getting down in the dumps because you couldn't find a building. Then you found a building, excitement. Then the build-out process. Well, contractors, build out. That is probably the most stressful part of this process. Honestly, the build out. And the truth of the matter is, and some people, including my friend Mitch from Performax, he says you can really judge an entrepreneur by the way they went through the build out process. And I can tell you emphatically, you guys, whether it's true or not, you guys showed such an even temperament. You and I, nobody's ever we've never butted heads, which is normal in any business relationship because we'd have conflicting ideas and conflicting opinions. But your guys' temperament throughout this whole thing, it was seamless to get where we are. And I know it wasn't seamless. There were so many obstacles. Talk about the different problems that after the lease, you're excited.
Yeah, found the building. Then it's time to get a contractor. So we started getting bids from contractors, and they were all over the place. There were ranges of, honestly, $400,000 of difference in bids that we got. And
you don't expect that. I don't
Right.
think. I mean, that high of a range. It was.
Right. You wouldn't expect a 400,000. Shocking. Right.
And there's a little fear of us, leading it with a contractor because we've never built out one of these before.
And
So
you're like, well, can we just find our own subcontractors to do this? And you wonder if you can do it on your own.
Right. You wonder if you can. And there are different versions of doing it. But needless to say, what you're saying is the most amazing thing that is universal is this wide range. How could it possibly be? This is a 6,500 square foot building. How can it vary so much? It's not a complicated build out. This isn't a
They all came to the same building, so.
Right, exactly. We're not asking for, we're not putting Italian marble down. It's a relatively simple build out as far as construction is concerned. So I guarantee you this is good for my franchisees out there listening to hear because it's almost 100%. A bid comes in, and then, of course, now this is another time is like, wow.
And again, you have to be patient.
Right.
Again, you have to take a step back and really wait until you feel it's like until you find that relationship with someone that you feel comfortable with. So we're staring at all these numbers and all these different bids, and we want to go, because our goal was to be open at the 1st of 2020.
Right.
That was our goal.
Right.
And here we are now into October, November, and we're not even close on a contractor.
Right.
So obviously we did find one that was referred to me, and he has been great. Obviously, you know him well.
I know him well.
He has
my
been
new
great.
BFF,
So
Ed.
we were blessed to get his support because after you hear some of the other things that we went through in the past few months, he really took care of business.
Right.
Without us having to oversee everything.
Right. So I don't know. So right. So I it's just a funny thing that this is not a science. There's not an exact science to this, and I wish there was. There was speculation, and so the way things unfolded, I would almost argue if you did open in January, it would have been worse for you. It would have really been worse because you probably would have had to close, or you would have to deal with this corona, what happened here. So in many ways, and then finding Ed, he just came. It just came. It wasn't thought out, and there's always going to be back and forth with any contractor. If contractors have their ideas about things, we have our ideas about things. So here it was. So here's what happened in the last few months. So you started your build out when? About, roughly.
Was it March?
Right around March.
So March, they find hopefully the right contractor, and you start to lose trust in people. I know I do. I have trust issues because people disappoint you, right? People come in and they look at you with a straight face and they tell you a tile should cost $8 a square foot, yet you know that you can buy it for 49 cents or 59 cents, and you wonder, why are these people telling me these things? Whatever it is, it's exaggerated and it's very concerning because you're getting like, who's telling me the truth? So now Ed comes around. Is he telling us the truth? I don't know. He says he can do this for half the price, and he can do. No worries, problems. So then we shut down. Our company I shouldn't say our company. Our country shut down, right? So you're ready to go in March, and the COVID-19. I would say that helped us because that allowed us in corporate. We never put our foot on the brakes. We put our foot on the gas. And now we said, I literally didn't stop for a minute. I want to know now, what can I do today that isn't affected by COVID-19? What I could do, there's 2 or 3 franchisees, you being one of them, that's ready to build out. So we put the foot on the gas, and we were able to now. Here we are, 3 months later. How far? Where?
Well, what happened next is Ed got started on the build out. We were in the middle of doing an SBA loan.
Right.
COVID-19 comes.
They're like, wait to submit your application till.
Not the application, wait to close, because the rates just dropped at the 1st of April, I think it was. The rate was going to be like 1.5 less, right? We're like, oh yeah. Well, guess what happened the next week? SBA went, we're in the middle of COVID. We don't know what's going on. So now here we are, Ed's full steam ahead.
Right, so your contract
Ed's
is
full
moving
steam
on.
ahead, and I'd already given some equity, obviously, that we were going to give anyways to get him going. But now I'm started build out and kind of had to pump the brakes again.
You got to stop putting on the brakes, right?
Because SBA, they were
Right.
out because they didn't know what was going
Right.
on.
And then how did that resolve itself? I forget if it did or it didn't.
We
just
We have
ended
no
up-
retirement anymore.
That's how it resolved it. Phil. You're going to work till you're 70 years old. Don't worry, you're in good company. All right. So okay.
So that gets us to April.
Right. Well, there was a big event in 2 months ago, 8 weeks ago, April. What happened in April?
We had a baby.
Right. So here it is. I was here actually in April doing my little site visit. So just to tell you how seamless life is with these guys here, the Allens, I was here in the morning. Paige and Shaun were here actually 8 weeks ago. And
Oh, it was like my induction date.
well, yeah, she left for lunch. We were here looking at tile in the morning. She left for lunch, had a baby. I think she came back that day. So, and I was like, how does this happen? So and it was like, most people, it's a lot of drama. So all of these events we're talking about.
And we have a 2-year-old at
I was
home.
gonna say
by
we
the
had
way.
just done it like 2 years.
This was a surprise.
So yeah, it was a surprise, right? So yeah, but I guess the point is all of these things. Then now the point is you've gotten to where we are today, and where we are today is tomorrow, not Saturday. We're having our opening of Sanford, and this is an exciting event. This is really exciting for me, and I had mentioned it to you. This is when visions in my head come to fruition. And I said to you, this is like, giving birth to me. You've given birth to a human. Me having these build-outs come to fruition in the exact, if not better, vision that's in my head is really moving and touching to me. And it can only be done, I really had very little to do with it, just consulting, giving advice, and my team, of course, helps out. But for franchisees to do it, and just follow the process. I really don't think we had any challenging conversations. I really think back, and I don't think there was any. And now the point is, everything is really beautiful here. We're going to have a grand opening on Saturday. I think Corey has scheduled in the next Saturday, Sunday, and Monday 43 temperament evaluations. Saturday, the beginning next week. So this is just such an exciting thing for me, and to see it happen. So now we got to make sure we get that money paid back. The money,
We have to fill that tank back up.
I got to fill that cash tank back up, the piggy bank back up, and so we're really excited about it. And so to add to this, the SBA problem. You just had a baby. These COVID-19. These were curveballs that nobody was anticipating, and most people would cut back. For example, even me as a franchisor, most of our competitors just stopped operating. They just didn't know the uncertainties, so they didn't travel. They didn't provide really any meaningful support. They didn't send out marketing people. So I put my foot on the gas. That was what I do. But interestingly enough, not only did you guys, in the face of a lot of uncertainty, and I know that our marketing director is always saying you got to invest money. Invest money in marketing. So tell me about that. So you're a little uncertain. Corey comes around. He's always telling you, do this and we'll do that. How did that work out?
Yeah, so it was time to start spending some money on marketing, and speaking with Corey, kind of gave his recommendations, or here's the minimum spend that you need to do, and on social media, and we decided that we were tired of pumping the brakes. We'd done that enough over the past year, and we've got to get this place filled with dogs. And to do that, we're going to double our marketing budget right out of the gate. And we have really obviously seen that pay off by all the temperament tests that are scheduled.
Right, and that's really cool. And the whole thing with this, just like we talked about the contract, everything is about trust. I have to trust you, you have to trust me, you have to trust our marketing director, you have to trust everybody that's involved in this process. And I know it's really, I know he struggles, but he's data-driven, results-oriented. So sometimes it's just frustrating to me. I mean, you frankly haven't seen the results yet because you spent the money, but we know that you have 43 temperament tests set up in the next 5 days. So that's results. Yeah, and it's an odd kind of thing, and people get to the point, they've exhausted a lot of money, and for some reason, the last thing, I guess because it seems like it's voluntary, it's not something essential to open the doors, and they hold back on the marketing. And it's to their demise and their detriment. We see it all the time. So I give you credit for that. That aspect of it that is part of, it's not an expense, it's an investment. And sometimes I get frustrated by it because people, they are pulling back the reins. And it's going to result in not failure. You're just not going to get your return on your investment as quick as you need to.
So we're thinking if we've got this kind of results already during COVID, imagine when people do go back to work that aren't working now. So I mean, we're gonna kill it during a pandemic. And so the sky's the limit for the opportunity here in Sanford. And
there's a lot more work to do. We know, we network with the community. There's so many more things to do. So again, this is the next stress point. Saturday is going to be the trigger. We just started taking a breath from the build-out, kind of. It's like, wow, we hung the last decal, and we're just there. Now the stress of our opening. But it's going to be all fun, all excitement. We're looking forward to it. So I hope the folks listening follow us on Facebook. Watch the Sanford grand opening. Watch for the videos. Watch. This is fun, fun, fun. Obviously, if you live in the area, there's all kind of promotional things happening. Orlando and wherever you are, this is going to be the premier pet. There's no doubt. I'm not saying it is going to be the premier pet facility in Orlando. Period. End of story. Probably the largest temperature-controlled indoor dog park, definitely in Sanford. This is the real deal, straightforward fun, no bullshit, excuse my language, no BS. Watch us, listen to us. Corey, how do people? YouTube, Facebook, Xbox, no, what? Come on, keep it, Spotify, Unify, everything, iTunes. Really listen to this. If you're bored, if you're tired, you just can't get to sleep, you're a little restless, listen to my voice, and I will put you into a deep trance. So this was really fun. Shaun and Paige, they're really great people. No drama in Sanford, no drama. We have babies, we just move along here. We go out to lunch, have a baby, come back, hang some decals, plant some. See you next week on the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould.